Hello, we're reading from Ebony Rising, and I'm reading a story by W.B. Du Bois. It says it's from Darkwater 1920. I should have looked up to see if Darkwater is a book or is it a magazine. And we had so many periodicals and publishing, and oh man, so many spaces. Um, we're creating those spaces again for ourselves online, so that's good. Let's get into it. The comment. He stood a moment on the steps of the bank, watching the human river that swirled down Broadway. Few noticed him, few ever noticed him, save in a way that stung. He was outside the world, nothing, as he said bitterly. Bits of the words of the walkers came to him. The comet, the comet. Everyone was talking of it. Even the president, as he entered, smiled patronizingly at him and asked, "Well, Jim, are you scared?" "No," said the messenger shortly. "I thought we journeyed through the comet's tail once," broke in the junior clerk affably. "Oh, that was Halley's," said the president. "This is a new comet, quite a stranger, they say. Wonderful, wonderful. I saw it last night. Oh, by the way, Jim," turning again to the messenger, "I want you to go down into the lower vaults today." The messenger followed the president silently. Of course, they wanted him to go down to the lower vaults. It was too dangerous for more valuable men. He smiled grimly and listened. "Everything of value has been moved out since the water began to seep in," said the president. "But we missed 2 volumes of old records. Suppose you nose around down there. It isn't very pleasant, I suppose." "Not very," said the messenger as he walked out. "Well, Jim, the tail of the new comet hits us at noon this time," said the vault clerk as he passed over the keys, but the messenger passed silently down the stairs. Down he went beneath Broadway under the dim light filtered through the feet of hurrying men, down to the dark basement beneath, down onto blackness and silent beneath the lowest cavern. Here with the dark lantern he groped in the bowels of the earth under the world. He drew a long breath as he threw back the last great iron door and stepped into the fetid slime within. Here at last was peace, and he groped moodily forward. A great rat leaped past him, and cobwebs crept across his face. He felt carefully around the room, shelf by shelf, on the muddied floor, and in crevice and corner. Nothing. Then he went back to the far end, where somehow the wall felt different. He sounded and pushed and pried. Nothing. He started away, then something brought him back. He was sounding and working again when suddenly the whole black wall swung as on mighty hinges, and the blackness yawned beyond. He peered in. It was evidently a secret vault, some hiding place of the old bank unknown to newer times, or in newer times. He entered hesitantly. It was a long, narrow room with shelves, and at the far end an old cast iron chest. On a high shelf lay the 2 missing volumes of records and others. He put them carefully aside and stepped to the chest, as it was old, strong, and rusty. He looked at the vast and old-fashioned lock and flashed his light on the hinges. They were deeply encrusted with rust. Looking about, he found a bit of iron, and he began to pry. The rust had eaten 100 years, and it had gone deep. Slowly, warily, the old lid lifted, and with a last low groan laid bare its treasure, and he saw the dull sheen of gold. Boom! A low, grinding, reverberating crash struck upon his ear. He started up and looked about. All was black and still. He groped for his light and swung it about. about him. Then he knew the great stone door had swung to. He forgot the gold and looked death squarely in the face. Then with a sigh he went methodically to work. The cold sweat stood on his forehead, but he searched, pounded, pushed, and worked until after what seemed endless hours had his hand struck a cold bit of metal, and the great door swung open again, harshly on its hinges, and then, striking against something soft and heavy, stopped. He had just room to squeeze through. There lay the body of the vault clerk, cold and stiff. He stared at it, and then felt sick and nauseated. The air seemed unaccountably foul, with a strong, peculiar odor. He stepped forward, clutched at the air, and fell fainting across the corpse. He awoke with a sense of horror, leaped from the body, and groped up the stairs, calling to the guard. The watchman sat as if asleep, with the gate swinging free. With one glance at him, the messenger hurried up to the sub-vault. In vain he called to the guards. His voice echoed and re-echoed weirdly. Up into the great basement he rushed. Here another guard lay prostrate on his face, cold and still. A fear arose in the messenger's heart. He dashed up to the cellar door, up into the bank. The stillness of death lay everywhere, and everywhere bowed, bent, and stretched the silent forms of men. The messenger paused and glanced about. He was not a man easily moved, but the sight was appalling. Robbery and murder, he whispered slowly to himself, as he saw the twisted, oozing mouth of the president where he lay half buried on his desk. Then a new thought seized him. If they found him here alone, with all this money and all these dead men, what would his life be worth? He glanced about, tiptoed cautiously to a side door, and again looked behind. Quietly he turned the latch and stepped out into Wall Street. That's the comic, the first part of it anyway, from Ebony Rising. We'll continue to read more parts, and sounds good. I didn't know E.B. Du Bois, W.E.B. Du Bois wrote fiction. He wrote so many things I need to get into. I need to get deeper into some of these figures, and hopefully next year I'll be able to do more of that. We'll see. Until next time, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and please be safe.